So this man is called a posthumous, sort of a hypothetical portraiture of Lee Seong-gae. So the point I wanted to make is this clothes, dragon embroidered on the chest, on the shoulder, around the neck. It's exactly the same as the Ming Dynasty emperor's clothes, but the color choices are different. And Ming emperor gave these royal, what can I say, ceremonial clothes as a present. So a couple of students said that they are studying Buddhist art all the time in Korean art, but well, in the Joseon Dynasty, you are going to see that Joseon is going to create a neo-Confucianism centered political ideology. So they are going to sort of suppress Buddhist ideologies a little bit. The government is not going to sponsor Buddhist temples and Buddhist monasteries with their own official resources. Some kings were supportive of Buddhism, or became patrons of some projects or campaigns, but they are not going to officially promote Buddhist monasteries or temples. So Hanyang or Hansong is right here, current location of Seoul, and then they also divided them into a few. I usually say 8 provinces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so 8 provinces. So that system started from the Joseon Dynasty. So current Korea also follows these schemes. And then the Hanyang, the map of Seoul, looks like this. So Lee Seong-gae and his allies took a long time to create perfect capital. So this is followed the Chinese style, Fengshui. Like Fengshui is written in Chinese characters like this means wind, and then this means water. So it's like a wind and water, but it's more like a flow of spirits, flow of auspicious spirits. So according to their, the feng shui theory, the capital should be surrounded by mountains. So there is mountains in the north. And then you also have Namsan, it's in the south here. And then you have a big river, not in the middle, not very far from the capital because you need a source. So this is the Han River, it's right here. And then in the middle, there are like locations of the palaces, royal palaces, and then other wealthy neighborhood. And then you have like some small water path called Cheonggyecheon, like you will see a little bit later. And so that they had everything. So it's an ideal city. So I think that's why they lasted for 500 years. And then, so they also had like 4 major gates on either side of the here. Especially on the way to the palace, there were 4 major gates. So South Gate, East Gate, North Gate, and then the West Gate. No, this is West. So this is West. This is East Gate, and then you have a South Gate, and you have somewhere North Gate. So the capital, the main area. So this is a better map. So this area is called Cheonggye. So you have a little brook, but it does not create like a massive inundation, even though it rains a lot. So that's very protective. And then all the way here, you have that Han River. Han River is massive. It's huge. So it's an ideal location. And you can see these are the gates. We're going to see South Gate somewhere around here. This South Gate. It's a Gyeongbok Palace. Like if you already studied a little bit of the palaces, like this is the Gyeongbok Palace. This is a Changdeokgung. These are the main like official areas. But the current buildings. The reason I am not explaining the buildings in the palaces is because they were all rebuilt after the Imjin War. Like during the Imjin War, the entire palaces were totally burnt down, and then they were heavily built in the 18th century. And then when Japanese colonial government came, and they also disrupted all this palace system. So that's why we don't study them as original early Joseon dynasty structure. But we can certainly read more about it. I usually say there were 5 major palaces. You can still visit it. It's a beautiful place. So Gyeongbokgung Palace, this is what you are going to see in historical dramas or when you visit Korea as a tourist, you will go there. So this was the main palace where king hosted a lot of ceremonies. So do you see this plaque, like a stone plaque? So you stand, not you, like government officials will stand based on their, like a military lining, right? Like so, civil officers here, military officers that side, but it's from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have one more 9. So there were 9 levels of ranks. So you stand right next to it. And then currently, this big tower is a new big. This is a National Folk Museum. And then the other side over here, it's not shown. If you go farther that way, you are going to see the National Palace Museum. Both of them have a lot of artifacts and royal household items. And so now it's the Joseon Dynasty. Neo-Confucianism is a very important word, political ideology. And then they, in a way, suppress the Buddhism because they want to establish a new political regime. And eventually, I want you to remember that the rise of practical learning, this was emphasized in Joseon Dynasty, knowledge, but knowledge not that, but living, patient knowledge, so practical not learning. And then invention of Korean alphabet, and then so 2 of them were taking place in the early Joseon Dynasty. And then that practical learning continues to the late Joseon Dynasty. And then they influence the rise of new subject matter, that is painting of everyday life. And then you are going to see the rise of mercantile class. So Neo-Confucianism in Joseon Dynasty, that is based on also the philosophy of Ming Dynasty. Ming was established about 30 years before. So here, Neo-Confucianism, this is important, regarded reality as a gradual realization of the great ultimate. And then Confucianism is not escapist. It's not supernatural. Confucianism talked a lot about the reality, how to make the reality better. And it's also based on rationalism. So in a way, it was suitable to have a rational, modernized political theory. And they always emphasize the reason. There are proper course or proper flow of things and events. And if you go backward against this natural flow, you will encounter consequences like rebellions and so forth. So Jo Gang-jo was Lee Seung-gae's advisor, and he was a thinker of political ideology. So he came up with the Neo-Confucianism, and then he died early in early 1500s. And then later on, these 2 scholars named Yi Hwang and Yi Yi, both of them wrote several important books on Neo-Confucianism for Korean. So they are very important scholars. I think Yi Yi is also on Korean currency.